Okay. I've had the good fortune, while sheltering in place, to be reading short pieces that Roselle has been writing. And I've spent so much time telling people that they should check it out that finally it dawned on me I should ask her to share some of them with us tonight because I've found them to be hopeful and charming and just beautiful. So Roselle Kovitz, a fellow Ballard writer, has spent much of her career working in public broadcasting and currently freelances as a communications consultant and writer. She co-authored The History of Public Broadcasting with John Witherspoon and was an essayist for the Nebraska Public Radio Network and KSER FM in Everett. While essays are her writing home, she enjoys the places that poetry and fiction take her. Welcome.
Thank you, Peggy. And I want to especially thank Peggy for staying with this process to keep It's About Time going during this time of physical distancing. So thanks. Hello, everyone. So the idea for these short reflections, poems, or whatever they are, come from Ted Kooser and Jim Harrison's Braided Creek. Some of you may know that it's a compilation of short poems they exchanged when Ted was being treated for cancer. These pieces were to be a daily, or let's be real, somewhat regular exchange and a way to keep in touch with a friend of mine. I didn't keep with the regular rhythm, but writing these short bits was therapeutic, especially in that they mostly bypassed my censor, my inner critic. The pandemic probably had a lot to do with that too. So this is the first one. However, they're not necessarily in chronological order. And one note, the reference to Sienna is to the viral video that many of you have seen of the sound of neighbors singing on an empty, dark Sienna street. A hush between cars passing, soft edges on hard times, voices from that dark Sienna street reach us. I used to listen to the news while making breakfast. Now the sound of water filling my kettle informs me. Lovers outside my window lift their branches in prayer, silently readying our spring bouquet. The number of sirens broadcasting emergency has dwindled or just settled into our bones. A violent thought interrupted by a string of dew resting on a bare maple twig. Many of us experienced or observed milestones during the time of sequestering. The most notable, perhaps, has been the graduations. My mother's birthday and my own fell during March and April. This first piece I wrote on my mother's birthday. That soft sweep of her hand across my forehead, so many mornings ago, still awakens me. And one of the ways I celebrated my birthday was with a Zoom call with friends in Nebraska. As we signed off, they embellished a traditional tribute. You know the public health campaign has gained traction when your friend's rendition of Happy Birthday includes hand washing. I imagine many of us have struggled with finding ways to exercise while staying home, or at least I have. This one's titled No Lead, No Follow, No Problem. In the kitchen, trying to recall basic salsa steps, I tell myself, just keep moving. As it was becoming clear that masks would be necessary or required, two dear members of the Ballard writers community who are making masks for frontline workers generously offered to provide me with some. They also were part of the Seattle Limbe Sewing Circle community. It's a project that produces feminine care kits for schoolgirls in Cameroon and other African countries. From menstrual kits to masks, sowing compassion and saving lives, one stitch at a time. While sheltering, I spoke with someone who had volunteered in the Matamoros migrant camp in Mexico. She had hoped to return, but volunteers from the US were spreading coronavirus to residents of the camp. So she met with the residents and the migrants virtually. During our conversation, she told me a story about a woman who had so little, she sent her son across the border hoping somebody would save him. It's titled The View from Matamoros. The coyote guides her 4-year-old across the bridge to Brownsville, leaves him like a package delivered. Molting. We're bound to feel vulnerable as we shed these toxic skins. Writing during this time, I also found myself having a little fun, which some of you may be hoping for about now. Watch stopped. Battery spent. Earth chuckles. Moon smiled. Both kept circling. Orbiting around each other on sidewalks, in hallways and stores. It is not the sureness of gravity that holds us together. Floating dust shimmers like stars in the morning light. The vault of heaven in my living room? In the tropical weather behind my mask, a drop of sweat hangs at the mouth of the abyss. And finally, in the maple outside my window, 2 crows regularly huddle together in the crook of a branch. Have I misjudged them? Take care, everyone. Good night.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be able to share those with other people now. I have read that more people are discovering poetry to be a comfort right now, and it
Mhm.
does distill the essence sometimes of our emotions. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Thank you,
really
Peggy.
happy that at the least, although these programs are still a bit awkward, that we're finally able to share the It's About Time Writers reading series with people beyond those who will be in the library with us again someday soon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.